Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Most of us, I would say the greater majority of us, some probably about 90, 95% of us want more. Not just more money, more of everything. Because abundance is not just relegated to money, because I'm going to show you in this video how you can have a life of abundance and that you can live it out today and have it right now on this edition of Maximum Life with yours truly, Michael. Okay, so most of us we're grappling with the idea that we don't have enough. And can I tell you once again, there's a verse of scripture I always use this and as an example because again, that's how I've learned these principles by studying the scriptures. Not to become more religious, but I've understood something that principles work. No matter whether you're Baptist, Methodist, Pentecostal, Episcopalian, it doesn't matter because the principle is what you're after. Because if the principle works, it works for everyone if applied the same way. Okay? So the law of gravity is a principle. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, yellow, green, polka dot, it doesn't matter. The idea is that the law of gravity works. And most of us, I guess at this point, we have realized don't try to refute it. Don't try to disprove it because some have and some have failed. Now, there are ways to supersede it for a momentary period of time, but the idea of what goes up must come down, it is undefeated. It continues to be the national, international champion of the world because it never changed. It's a principle. And as such, when it comes to abundance, there are principles you must adhere to in order to receive the level of abundance that you really, really want to have. And I don't know anybody who does not want to have a little more of everything. Some more money, some more happiness, some more health. But can I tell you again, this principle that I've learned in the Bible comes from Hebrews 11 and the first verse. It opens up by saying, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now, it's the latter part of that I want you to really pay attention to because it's really saying more than you're hearing. It is saying that as it relates to manifesting, to bring into the seen world that which is in the unseen world, you must understand that faith requires you to consider it so even without corroborating evidence. You don't have any physical evidence of any sort to prove that it is so, not in the future, but right now, because faith is now. And as long as we're continuing to believe for it to happen, it will always be something that is deferred to the future rather than receiving it as done right now. That's the way faith actually operates. It is the evidence of things not seen. Now, you might say, well, if it's not seen, it's not real. To that, I would counter the argument by saying, if it's seen, it's not really real. Now, you might say that's crazy because that's what these eyes are for us to see. Well, let me just remind you that scientists have proven this. This is a proven fact that your eyes, our physical eyes, as wonderful as they are, they only operate at a 0.0035%. A 0.0035% of efficiency, because your eyes can only see and discern at a less than 1% of what actually exists in the electromagnetic spectrum. So when you say, I'll believe it when I see it, you're saying that I only believe at a 0.0035%. Which is to say it's almost non-existent. So the truth of the matter is what is unseen is more real than the unseen, both in a spiritual, cosmic sort of way and from a scientific level as well, because we understand that all matter, whether it's metal, aluminum, wooden, or it doesn't matter. All matter is made up of atoms, and atoms are made up of protons. And as such, now, I'm not a scientist, but Google it, chat GBT it. She'll tell you everything we see in this material world is made up of anatomical structures, and they vibrate at a certain rate of speed or at a certain level that causes it to be perceived with your electromagnetic eyes, that is only perceiving at a 0.0035% of what actually exists. And as such, we believe more in what we see and perceive with our eyes than what actually exists. Now, if you go back to, and again, I'm not trying to make you more religious, I'm just bringing you into a level of awareness so that you can appreciate the fact that just because you don't see it with your natural eyes does not mean that it doesn't exist. Okay, so further on in that verse, down around the third verse, it says that we understand that the worlds were framed. The worlds were framed by the things that doth not exist. By faith, we understand that the worlds were framed, considering those things that be not as though they were. In other words, that they're made by that which does not exist in the natural, that which does not exist in the terra firma, in the physical realm. Because again, we understand, I'm looking at my notes here, because I want to say that third verse with a higher level of clarity, because I really want you to grab it. Again, this is not a Bible study, but it is a principle study of this concept of faith. And it says, through faith, we understand that the worlds are framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen are not made by things that doth appear. So the things that you see, though you see or perceive them with your natural eyes, they are not made with natural things. You say, well, my car is made of metal. The trees are made of wood. What do you mean? Everything that exists in this physical plane, this three-dimensional world, is a direct consequence of something that happened internally before it ever shows up externally. Everything. And I can prove that to you by saying that the car that you're driving, that didn't start out as a car. It started out as an idea. The laptop or the camera or whatever you're viewing this on, it did not start out as what it is now. It started out as an idea. And where does those ideas reside? They reside in the mind, in your mind. Neville Goddard says that your imagination, your wonderful imagination, your divine imagination, because that's the impetus, that's the stream from whence all ideas, all concepts, all innovations flows from your imagination. There is nothing that you can see in this physical plane that was not first in the mind of the inventor. That's your cars, that's your phones, that's your appliances, that's everything, your furniture, everything. Most artists, you understand this, because again, as an artist, before we can mold it into something, if you're a sculpture, before you can mold it into something, oftentimes you have to see something before you can make something. As maybe a musician, you have to hear something before you can create something. In either case, they start from an invisible realm. It starts from an unseen realm. And so when it comes to abundance, this is the approach we have to take. We have to believe in abundance now. Because again, faith is the substance. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. We understand that the things are made, are framed by that which doth not appear. So we're prime candidates. You're a prime candidate for something that is so far beyond your education, far beyond your familiarity, your family. There's so much more to you than you even began to experience. But it all depends on what you believe about yourself. I'm vastly and more, I guess you could say, I'm continuing to move more in the direction of, I believe all things that you could ever want already exist. You say, oh, I know about that manifestation. If I just say it, I can make it happen. No, that's magic. I'm not talking about magic. I'm talking about, number one, causing it to exist in the unseen realm from whence everything in the seen world emanates from. So trying to make it happen out there before it happens in here, you got the cart before the horse. So what we have to do, that's in anything. We have to be that before we become that. If you don't believe that you're going to prosper, if you don't believe that you are prospering, if you don't believe that you are living a life of abundance now, you don't believe it, you'll never become it. And let me give you this caveat. If you believe that everyone who's walking in abundance, who have more than enough, that's all, and that's the definition for abundance, by the way. The definition for the word abundance simply means you have more than enough. Okay? More than enough money, more than enough resources, more than enough everything. That's abundance. But here's what I was going to say, is that if you think that everyone who lives a life of abundance, you see them driving Maybachs, Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis, living behind gated communities and mansions. If you think in your deepest, sincerest part of your consciousness, your subconscious or in your spirit, you believe that they did something nefarious, or they came into wealth and that's why they're wealthy, or they did something illegal, that's why they're wealthy. If that's what you believe about them, then you're describing that will restrict your ability to achieve the level of wealth that they're enjoying, because you think that everyone who's enjoying that level of wealth is either a thief, they're doing something underhanded, or they were born into it. Someone gave it to them. And of course, you will never do anything illegal. You'll never be thinking about robbing a bank or knocking someone aside the head and taking their money from them. So that's out of the picture. And then, of course, if you weren't born into money or wealth and riches, then, of course, you disqualify for wealth and riches. So as such, you are literally dictating to yourself, I do not want to have it. Because if you think that everyone that has it has done something underhanded, and then there's a certain disdain for them because they have it, then why would you pray or desire to have what they have? If you believe that they have it because they've done something underhandedly or underhanded, then that means you would have to do something underhanded in order to achieve that same level. So you see how it works, that abundance is not about what you have outside of you. There are those who don't have millions in the bank, and yet they have abundance. They have an abundance of peace. There are millionaires right now, billionaires, who wish, some would say, I'll give up all my money if I could have a measure of peace in my life. Why is that? Well, once people find out I'm wealthy or rich, all of a sudden I have to second guess every time I meet someone, because They may be engaging me simply because of not who I am, but because of what they think I have, and they want some of it. See, they don't necessarily, people ask most people who are millionaires, multimillionaires, celebrities, and things of that nature, they'll tell you that people don't necessarily want some of what you've got. They want what you've got. And there's a certain entitlement that goes along with that that makes them to believe that if you don't give it to them, then you're the one who's evil. So again, these are all these sorts of attachments we make with these sorts of things to the extent that they affect our lives. And we don't necessarily do it intentionally. No one would ever want to have a life of scarcity. But again, if you believe that abundance is for those who do things underhandedly, who are less than genuine, then either you're going to become less than genuine, less than honest, so that you can achieve that wealth, or you're not going to get it at all. Because the way that God has designed each and every one of us, and this is the God's honest truth, I promise you, you can believe it or not. It doesn't matter to me, because what you believe about me has no bearing on me, and the same for you. So you can take it for what it's worth. But God has designed you in such a way that you operate in the same principle as He does. For instance, when God saw the world in the beginning, it was chaotic, without void and without order, without structure. And what God did about it is not bring in a crane, bulldozers and dump trucks and scaffolding and that sort of thing and started constructing the world or the earth. What He did was He started speaking. When God wanted to reform the chaos that existed in the beginning, the thing that He did was to start speaking. And if you will grasp this, you'll understand that that levels the playing field. That we can all speak, barring any speech impediment, but it's not necessarily what you say out of your mouth vocally or auditorily. It's what you say internally, what you're saying right here. That's what matters. Here's another principle. It is not what goes out of a man's mouth. I'm sorry, I've got it backwards. It is not what goes in a man's mouth that defiles a man. It's what comes out of his mouth. So it's not what goes in your mouth. What that principle is saying is not that you're eating food, but you're taking in what people say about you. You're eating and consuming what people say about you to the point where you internalize it and you believe it about yourself. See, it's, as the old saying goes, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. Well, they won't unless you agree with those words, internalize those words, and ultimately you begin to experience those words, because words have power. Supernatural power. You can believe it or not. Take it for what it's worth. But words have power. And as such, then it behooves us to learn how to harness this power so that it works for us rather than against us. Because at the end of the day, there is no real such thing as doubt. We all walk by faith. But some of our faith brings us into prosperity, and some of our faiths brings us into scarcity. Some people call it doubt. But really and truly, there really isn't any real difference between the two. They're both faith. Polarity exists in the three-dimensional world where you have faith and you have doubt. So because in this three-dimensional world, we need this yin and yang, this in and out, this black or white, this male or female, the masculine or feminine, it goes on and on, because this is the world, the three-dimensional world requires that adherence, yin, the yang. There's always got to be polarity. But the truth of the matter is, in the unseen realm, there is no such thing as yesterday or tomorrow. There's no such thing as future or the past. It all exists in now. And now it's the best description I can give you as far as time is related, because now is now. It's not relegated to 15 minutes, 16 seconds, or anything like. It is something that it's coexisting as I'm speaking right now. Everything that I ever will desire already exists in the now. Not in the future, but in the now. So it was said by, I don't know who said it, but I heard it years and years ago, how that the founding fathers of these United States, they did not believe in the Newfoundland. They believed from the Newfoundland. That's what, New York used to be called, the Newfoundland. All of that, Maine, New York, Charlotte, Carolinas, Virginia, all of that. All of that was considered the New World. And as such, the early explorers didn't believe in, they believed from the future. Although no one, at that point in time, no one known to them ever explored that region of the world. Everything was pretty much in the European, Baltic, African area, right in that Mediterranean zone area. But one explorer, maybe, actually, a lot of explorers believed that there was more to the world. To the contrary, some thought that the world was flat. And as such, if you go out there on that ocean, you're going to ultimately fall off the edge of the earth. I don't know how that could possibly happen, but that's what they believed. And as such, many would not dare to venture into the oceans, the mighty oceans of the Atlantic, in search for a new land. They wouldn't even dare. But then there are those who believe so strongly that it was there for them, waiting for them to come and to possess it. Now, yeah, we've got some very dubious history around that, but the point I'm making is that they believed so strongly that they got the financing, they got the boats, the ships, and they sailed to the new land, to the new world. That's why you have New York, because they came from the old York. They have the New Hampshire, because they came from Hampshire. All of that. But they believed, is what I'm getting at. And what now? Here's where the rubber meets the road. What you desire, what we desire, has to be so clear in our subconscious mind that it literally stimulates our emotions concerning it. Now, have you ever been so hungry that when you said, I'm so hungry that I can taste what I'm hungry for, whether it's chicken, whether it's steak, lobster, fish, whatever, in that same mindset, that same attitude that I want it so much and so badly and so vehemently that I can taste it. Well, that's the same principle. It's the same principle. If you want the abundance that you seek after, it has to become in your mind. It doesn't matter if no one else believes. I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to open a restaurant. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a school. I'm going to I'm buying my mother a new home, and have no evidence to support that concept. I'm not saying that you can sit home now. That's not what I'm saying. Again, that's magic. I'm not talking about magic. I'm talking about how to take what's inside you and bring it to bear on the outside of you. Because I promise you, I am fully convinced that what's inside of you is your potential, is your capacity, it's even your grace, your enablement. If it's in you, it's destined and authorized by you to show up externally outside of you. But if you don't do anything now, that's magic. To believe something so much till you don't do anything about it, to support it, to help bring it to bear, then you're not really, that's not manifestation you're talking about. You're really talking about magic. And even if you, I'll go a step further and say that even if you think that you can manifest something, you're thinking of manifestation as a future event. As such, you defer the very thing that you desire to manifest for a later date. So statements like I'm going to, I'm about to, I will, those are deferment terms. It's like you defer whatever you attach to it for later. So that's why the scripture once again says, let the weak say, I am strong, even while you're physically weak. You may even be laying on your back, dealing with some sort of infirmity, and yet can say, I am strong. Let the weak say, I am strong. You may have to say it several times because repetition is the mother of invention. You have to say it over and over and over and over, not to make it happen outside of you, but to make it happen inside of you. You say it so much till it becomes a reality and it starts to well up on the inside till you almost open your eyes expecting to see it because it is so vivid in your heart, in your spirit, and in your soul. And let me cap this off with this point, because I've come to realize that one of the greatest allies to manifestation is your emotion. Yeah. Your emotion cuts deeper into your soul, into your spirit than your logic. There are things that we may know logically, but emotionally we're detached from it. I may know what to do, but not be willing to do it. How many times have we been in relationships when we knew that this person is not good for me, but because we were emotionally involved and attached, we went on and forged ahead in the relationship, only to find out that what you knew logically was actually proven to be factual. It is actual factual. So again, attach your emotions to it to the extent that I believe it so much so till I can taste it. I can feel it. I have glasses. I have glasses here somewhere. I knew it. Because I wanted to read you something real quickly before I end this one, this broadcast. Abundance. Now, again, I've told you that abundance is having more than enough. Abundance is having more than enough. Excess, having a surplus, okay? Having satisfaction. Because if you're walking in abundance, then what do you lack? If I have more than enough of everything, why am I not satisfied? Why am I not content? Because I believe I have everything. Anyone who tries to live a dual existence never truly masters it. You can't be in two places at the same time, and so it is with abundance. You can either live in abundance or live in scarcity. But if you try to live in both spheres of realms at the same time, you will certainly not by default obtain abundance, because the very fact that you are halted between two realities, you will defer to your former programming. So you can't believe in scarcity and abundance at the same time, because at the end of the day, you will default to what's more familiar to you, which may be, of course, scarcity. We've been so conditioned to not having enough if you were born in a particular, economic status, that you're more familiar with wondering what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, than you are with having more than enough. You're more familiar with that, so that when you set out to have abundance, the first thing that happens that doesn't work out the way you thought it would work out, you default back to that. Oh man, I can't buy a break. Every time I spend a nickel, I got to spend a dime. Nothing ever works for me. Boy, some people just got it like that. Some people are just lucky. All right, well then that sort of people is what you're not. As such, you're not going to be one of those people, not because of them, but because of your own declaration concerning what you believe to be abundance. That is for other people and not for yourself. The moment that you begin to limit or restrict something internally, you begin to restrict it externally, because the truth of the matter is that there is no truth in reality other than that what exists subconscious mind, and that's what we accept as truth. What is in our subconscious, the deepest part, because we live from our subconscious, not from our conscious mind. Our conscious mind is for assessing that kind of thing, rationalization and that sort of thing. But again, most of us live from a subconscious. That's how we live, actually, because that's the things that we actually believe. That's where they reside. The things that we have strong convictions about they don't reside in the conscious mind. They reside in the subconscious. And that's why it doesn't matter what anybody says about it, you will not change your mind, because it's a strong conviction. It's part of your subconscious. In general, abundance is a subjective word, based on each person's perception, because it can mean different things to different people. In other words, some could view $100 as abundance, while others view 100 million as an abundance. So it's totally relegated and up to you what your interpretation of abundance really is. So once you establish what that abundance looks like in your spirit, not just here, but down in the deepest part of your subconscious mind, once you identify that, and I say this lightly, that it's just a matter of time, but again, that's kind of a misnomer, because if you believe it's a matter of time, we know that time will play a part, but we don't rely on time. We don't think that it's going to happen in the future time, because we believe that is so right now. Whenever I pray and I conclude with this declaration. Father, I thank you for this, that, blah, blah, blah. And I say, and I end it with, and it is so. Not that it's going to be so, that I'm believing it's going to happen. I believe that it is so now. I see God multiplying all of the monies that I use. That's why I don't spend money. I use money. You better learn how to use money, because money is a tool that's designed to serve you, not for you to serve it. So you make a declaration, as I had to. I will never work another day for money. Not one more day. This has been many years ago. I don't work for money. Do I get paid? Yes, I get paid. I get paid from all kinds of people, entrepreneurs, business people, individuals, those who are forward thinkers, who need my coaching skill set to help to reform their mindset that brings them into their full potential so they can live their highest life. They pay me, yes, of course. It's worth paying for. I mean, how do you value yourself? The point I'm making is nothing of value will happen outside of you until it happens inside of you. If you can reconcile this in your own mind, and just consider it a done deal, then you're on your way to abundance. And again, as I close, don't let your sign of abundance be whether or not you have it in your hand now. Don't let your sign of abundance be whether or not you can see it in the future. Let your sign of abundance be right now. Health, wealth, prosperity, happiness, potential, and productive relationships, productive business. I have more clients than I can actually service. I have more money than I can actually spend. And that's where you want to be. I have more patience. I have more endurance. And I have an abundance of it. The more you have it, the more you will have it. Okay? You must be before you become. And I want to encourage you to check out my book. It's the description. It's in the description. It's called The Algorithm of Wealth. And all an algorithm is the process of studying something to discover how it works. And the algorithm of wealth, I'm going to show you proven principles. Much of what I've said right now concerning abundance. I'm going to show you that and a whole lot more. You can get it on Amazon and get that book and study it. Read it at least 3 to 4 or 5 times so it gets down into your soul, into your spirit, into your subconscious, and then it begins to manifest in your external world. I trust something has been said will bless you. You can always go to my website at michaelnorman.net. I'm going to show you how. You need a tool that brings you into this level of prosperity, right? So I'm going to show you how you can become a digital CEO, how you can increase your digital real estate without having to worry about paying property taxes, without having to worry about paying the lawn people for mowing the lawn in the city and all of the other stuff that comes with physical land. I'm going to show you digital real estate, how you can become a digital CEO. You can go to michaelnorman.net. That's michaelnorman.net. Make an appointment if you want interested in that, or of course, if you want my coaching, that's available at Michael Norman Ministries, michaelnormanministries.com. Okay, if you want the coaching that I'm providing for athletes, business people, and individuals who are just wanting to unlock their full potential and live at their highest life and their highest level, go to michaelnormanministries.com and sign up for my one-on-one coaching I'm making available for many of you. Okay? All right, until next time, again, share the video. Make sure that you click the like button. Many people watch and they don't click the like button. Please do that. It helps so much with the algorithms. Please make sure that you click the like button, click the subscription if you haven't been subscribed to this channel, and become that electronic evangelist and begin to share this channel with all your friends, okay? As many as you possibly can. Let's grow the channel together. All right, until next time, remember every Monday, 10 a.m., we drop a new video. So click the notification button as well so you'll get notified when the next video becomes available. Until next time, blessings.